Good morning. Today is a pro D day for my kids, so kind of time in the morning. Let's continue study the Sutra Perfect Enlightenment, page 141. So we're talking about the Vajragarbha Bodhisattva. Vajra. So I have a Vajra here, I think. The thunderbolt. So it's a symbol to break the ignorance. Vajra, translated to English as diamond that can break anything. So Vajra in Buddhism especially meaning break through the ignorance. So we are on page 142 actually. So it's the end of chapter 4, a dialogue between Buddha and Vajragarbha Bodhisattva, or question and answer between Buddha and Vajragarbha Bodhisattva. At the end of each chapter, Buddha will restate his gist or his teaching. So that's why we have a gatha at the end of every chapter. So 142, the gatha. I read the Chinese first. 尔时世尊欲重宣此义，而说偈言：金刚藏当知，如来寂灭性，未曾有始终。若以轮回心，思惟即旋复，但至轮回际，不能入佛海。比如销金矿，今非销故有，虽复本来经，终以销成就。一成真经体，不复重为矿。生死与涅槃，凡夫及诸佛，同为空华相，思惟犹幻化，何况诸虚妄？若能了此心，然后求圆觉。So very beautiful. In English, then the world-honored one desired to restate the gist of this spoke a verse, saying, Vajragarbha, you should know that Tathagata's perfectly tranquil nature has never had a beginning or end. If you use the cyclic mind, discursive thought, that just revolves, at most reaching the limits of cyclic existence, and you are unable to enter the Buddha ocean. It is like smelting gold ore. The gold ore not exists because of smelting. Yet crude gold from smelting, once subsequently perfected, never returns to the state of ore. Samsara and nirvana, worldling and Buddha, like sky flowers, are appearances. Discursive thought is just an illusory phenomenon. How can it penetrate falsity? Only after you fully know this mind can you seek perfect enlightenment. So it's the gist of Buddha's answer to Vajragarbha Bodhisattva. Let's review this gist again. The Tathagata's perfect tranquil nature has never had a beginning or end. So this means that a Buddha's tranquil nature is beyond space and time. It's beyond time, especially here. There's no beginning or end. That's everyone's nature. If you remember in chapter 1, the Q&A between Buddha and the Manjusri Bodhisattva, the Buddha's answer to Manjusri's question is that there's no body and mind to undergo birth and death. You see, here matches too. The Tathagata's perfect tranquil nature has never had a beginning or end. So there's no body-mind to undergo the birth and death. If you use the cyclic mind or discursive thought, which resolves at the most reaching the limits of cyclic existence, and you can never understand, enter the Buddha ocean or understand the Buddha nature. Here is very, very important actually. For worldly people, we have 80,000 thoughts per day. We're almost thinking all the time. Maybe in a deep sleep without dream, we can cease thinking mind. But at the same time, we are unconscious. So if the worldly person thinking all the time, he cannot be still enough to see his or her nature. The cyclic mind is very much like, so if we are on a boat of a river, we perceiving the banks. It seems that the banks are moving, right? Because you're on a moving boat. Actually, the bank never moves. So actually in this chapter, Buddha used this metaphor to describe that a discursive thinking mind can never understand the tranquil nature of Buddhahood. It's like you are standing on a moving boat, you're looking at the banks. You can never understand the bank is still. So in the same way, a discursive cyclic mind cannot understand the Buddha nature, that everyone, which is the essence of everyone actually. So that's one in chapter 3, if you still remember, in chapter 3, which is a Q&A between Buddha and the universal vision, Bodhisattva, Buddha gave a suggestion to use the practice of samatha, to still the mind, to calm the mind to a point that you can understand your tranquil Buddha nature. You see how logic that teaching of Buddha is. So I have talked about, if we summarize or simplify all the Buddha's teaching in 3 characters or 3 words, is, in Chinese we say 戒定慧, morality, concentration or meditation, then wisdom. So between morality and the wisdom, let's say morality to be good, wisdom to be wise. Between a good man and a wise man, there is concentration or meditation. In chapter 3, Buddha used samatha, a technique to calm or still the mind. So samatha plays a very, very important role between a good man and a wise man. Morality teaches you how not lie, not cheat, not kill, not to hurt anybody, to be kind, to be good, to be generous, generosity, like this kind of precepts. Actually, all kinds of religion And education, worldly education, teach us to do this. And there's a lot of good men or good person in the world, but there's very little wise men. Why? Because their lack of training of calming their mind. They don't have practice samatha or meditation or concentration. So here, let's back to the verse or the gist again. The Tathagata's perfect tranquil nature has never had a beginning or end. If you use the cyclic or mind or discursive thought, which spins or resolves all the time, you are unable to see or to enter the Buddha ocean. So beautiful. That's why meditation or concentration plays a very, very vital role here between a good man and a wise man. Let's go on. It is like smelting gold ore. The gold does not exist because of smelting, yet crude gold from smelting, once subsequently perfected, never returns to state of ore. So we know, very interesting, in North America, there's a gold rush in the early 19th. I even visit some places that in Canada, BC province of the gold rushes, some traces still there. So gold does not exist because of smelting. Gold is originally there in the mind, in the earth. So it is said that our Buddha nature is all originally there. It is not because you practice, then it's there. It is not because you meditate, then it comes into existence. No, your Buddha nature is your essence of who you are. Your Buddha nature, let's translate it to more modern word, is your pure awareness, pure consciousness. The gold does not exist because of smelting. Your pure awareness does not exist because of meditation. Does not exist because you have faith. You pray. No, it is already there. You see how beautiful the teaching is. Yet, crude gold from smelting, once subsequently perfected, never returns to the state of awe. But meditation, all the practice like meditation, yoga, concentration, or faith, prayer, they kind of like to smelting the crude gold. Once subsequently perfected, never returns to a state of awe. It seems that once you enlightened, you will never go back to the samsaric world again. Because you have that true understanding. True understanding is described in chapter 1 and 2. So in chapter 1, I repeat in Chinese, 如来因地修圆觉者，知是空华，皆无轮转，亦无身心受彼生死，非作故无，本性无故. So all the Tathagatas reached their enlightenment. 如来因地修圆觉者，知是空华，即无轮转, realized all the phenomena world is illusory, is empty. Then he returns to his or her original face, the original Buddha nature. That's all. That's called sudden enlightenment. You don't need any practice. You just realize your essence. of who you are or what you are. And the Buddha nature is original there. You don't need any practice. You just have to recognize it, discover it, like a scientist discover something. It is already there for billions years. And there's two meaning here. Once subsequently perfected, never returns to a state of all. Once you enlightened, once you recognize your Buddha nature, that's where you start your practice. All your practice makes sense, will become meaningful. Because now, all your practice is helpful for you to return your Buddha nature, which is already there. This statement is to answer the second question of the Vajragarbha Bodhisattva, who asked, once a human being enlightened, can he or she return again to a worldly person or unenlightened? And Buddha answered this question, no. Once subsequently perfected, never returns to state of awe. I mean, he used a metaphor here. If the gold is perfected, never returns to the state of awe again. Makes sense? So let's go on. Samsara and nirvana, worldlings and Buddhas, like sky flowers, are appearances. So this is very, very important one. For many practitioners, they are seeking for nirvana, because most of them are sick of sufferings or samsara. So in the perspective of get rid of the samsara, they're looking for nirvana. It's a good step, but it's not complete, because you still think there's samsara in the world. Samsara and nirvana are like sky flowers, are appearances, meaning they are illusory and empty. Nirvana is the antidote of samsara. It's like a medication is the antidote of sickness or illness. Once sickness is gone, no medication anymore. Imagine someone is always healthy, never been sick for once. Then he never tried the medication either. So samsara, nirvana exists because of the samsara. It's the antidote of samsara. Once you realize samsara is illusion, then there's no nirvana either. Very beautiful metaphor. So in the same way, worldlings and Buddhas, we think we are human being. Actually, your essence is Buddha. It's like for awakened being, for Buddhas, they never say, I am Buddha. Because Buddha exists because of worldling persons or worldly people. You say, I try to use a metaphor here. If there's one of our friend make a speech on a stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and he step on stage, and the first sentence he will say is, I'm a human. you will be very, astonished for him to make that statement. He is a human. No, we are all humans, right? So he did not necessary to state that he's a human. We all know that. In the same way, if you know you are Buddha, you never say, I'm a Buddha. A Buddha is the antidote of unawakened, unenlightened being. In the same way, like nirvana is antidote of samsara. If you realize you're Buddha and you're originally a Buddha, you never declare that you're Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha never declares that he's a Buddha because that's who he is, or who, from beginningless time. You see, all the samsara, nirvana, human beings, or Buddhas are concepts or human constructions or mental constructions. It is practical, it is helpful, but it's not complete. Very beautiful, right? So I repeat, samsara and nirvana, worldlings and Buddha, like sky flowers, are appearances. Discursive thought is just an illusory phenomena. How can it penetrate falsity? Meaning you cannot use a false thought to penetrate the falsity of that thought. This reminds me, even Einstein, the greatest scientist in the past century, he said, no problem can be solved from the same perspective that the problem is arises. I repeat, no problem can be truly solved from the perspective where that problem arises. Maybe it's not exactly what he's saying, but I just want to restate, even Einstein had this feeling that matches Buddha's teaching here. I repeat, discursive thought is just an illusory phenomenon. How can it penetrate falsity? You cannot use a false discursive thought to penetrate the falsity of any thoughts. Meaning you have to use the inner stillness, inner peace to penetrate the falsity of a thought, the falsity of a discursive thought. Only after you fully know this mind, everybody's mind, can you seek perfect enlightenment. Again, samatha, mentioned by Buddha in chapter 3. We're now in chapter 4. Samatha in chapter 3 is very crucial here. Samatha is a practice to calm the mind, to still the mind, to a point that our awareness can be aware of itself. The Buddha nature is recognized by itself. Okay, now we are at page 143. There's a little bit commentary by Kiwa, the 14th century's Korean master. You see, the way originally has no thought. The way, the Tao, the ultimate, originally has no thought. Again, no, thoughtlessness have two meanings. Thoughtlessness, 无念. You may cease to think in a deep meditation. And actually, everyone does so in deep sleep without dream. But it's an unconscious approach. In a deep sleep, we are unconscious. Unconscious means the lack of experiences. Unaware of, in a deep sleep, we are not aware of something because of lack of experiences. A blank screen without any programming, without any wording, pictures, or images. That's the thoughtlessness in the deep sleep. But a practitioner of meditation may reach a thoughtless state in a wakeful state, like now. Not too hard, huh? That's the first understanding of thoughtlessness. There's a deeper meaning of thoughtlessness is that because you know the nature of any thoughts is empty, is illusory, so you may use thinking or thoughts to manifest the ultimate, to serve, to care, to love from the inner stillness, from the essence of who you are. Then that thought is thoughtlessness, because you see the nature of all the thinking. That's a second or deeper meaning of thoughtlessness or no thought. Because of this, the three doubts can only produce clever views. So, Vajragarbha Bodhisattva raised three questions based on the, falsity. So all the three questions by Vajragarbha Bodhisattva is baseless. You can review this chapter again, chapter 4. So the three doubts can only produce clever views. Pay attention, clever views. It's the mental tricks, the egoic mind tricks. Clever views. So the opposite of clever views is a wise view or a clear view, the right view, which rise from the inner stillness, from the Buddhahood, from the Buddha nature, from the essence of who you are. So because of this, the three doubts raised by Vajragarbha Bodhisattva only produce clever views, never wisdom, okay? Which in return induces the Tathagatas to create similes to destroy them. That's why in chapter 4, Tathagata or Buddha answered three questions. Vajragarbha Bodhisattva is an enlightened being. It's a play, it's a drama between Buddha and Vajragarbha Bodhisattva. It's like a play to show us, the world's person, to understand the essence of Buddha's teaching. It does not mean that Vajragarbha Bodhisattva is dumb, is unenlightened to raise this question. No, he's a play between Buddha and Bodhisattva to give us a teaching. So if thought is at odds with reality, how can words possibly embrace it? I mean, if our discursive cyclic thought, How can we, our discursive thickness thought, embrace the truth that never comes and goes? It's on a car that's running on highway. How can you study a flower which is still? No possibility. A discursive thought can never study the Buddha nature, which is totally still. If thought is at odds with reality, how can words or thought possibly embrace the truth? If you want to actualize perfect enlightenment, you must first know the mind. The mind is the discursive mind or cyclic mind is the application of the perfect enlightenment. You just don't know. Every word we are saying here is the application of cosmic intelligence. The only difference between a thought of Buddha and a thought of worldly person is that a Buddha knows all the thoughts he has is illusory, and all thoughts of Buddha has arise from the inner stillness or perfect enlightenment state. While a worldly person, for worldly person, a thought arises from a limited, localized, limited, conditioned understanding of the totality. It's a fraction. It's a conditioning that has not been freed. So a limited understanding can never understand the state of perfect enlightenment, which is limitless. That's the only difference. The very thought a worldly person has is the application of a cosmic intelligence. But the worldly person restricted or limited to a very discursive perspective or conditioned perspective. That's all. So if you want to actualize perfect enlightenment, you must first know the mind. Know the mind, understand mind, manage the mind, and use the mind. The mind is originally no mind. No mind is the way. Again, no mind or no thought or no or thoughtlessness has two meanings. First meaning, you can stop thinking. That's very helpful. That's why we need concentration. But stop thinking is a superficial level of understanding of thoughtlessness. There's a deeper meaning that you see the nature of any thought is empty, is illusory, is unreal, but you can use it to serve, to care, to love. On top of that, you are standing in the perfect enlightenment. You reach your essence. Okay, that's the end of chapter 4, or at the end of page 143. So we stop here because next time we're gonna talk about chapter 5, Maitreya Bodhisattva. Maitreya Bodhisattva, the big belly Bodhisattva, a round face, big ears, and large belly, always smiles. So that's Maitreya Bodhisattva. In China, we look him as that 布袋和尚. Yeah. Next time we're going to talk about chapter 4 or chapter 5, Maitreya Bodhisattva. Hello, Penny. So there's a book here. I copied this PDF file at every beginning of my session or my previous videos too. So I will text how is it copy here again. It's an online PDF file. So I'll paste here. Try my last one, please. So here's the PDF. Yeah, you can open it. I opened the last link, please. So for this chapter, we're talking about the end of chapter 4 or the page 143. You can start by yourself. If you really study this sutra, you will enlightened very soon or already enlightened. How to achieve stillness? Take it easy, no rush. So you can. I have a previous video, the types of meditation. You can try that. There's a little more techniques to calm the mind. The types of meditation. Maybe I can try to find you here. Just give me a sec. Yeah, I found it. I will send you a link here.
It's not just movement. Let's say
I did like 2 years ago. It's very funny to look back. Anyway, and sorry about my English is my second language. If it's any, anything that I cannot express completely. So I have to say goodbye. You can join us every Saturday and Sunday. Saturdays is kind of flexible because my son have a soccer program. They always change the time after that soccer play. But Sunday morning, always at 8 a.m. Vancouver time. 8 a.m. every Sunday, Vancouver time. You can join us.